you did want that practice and check it, go ahead, but feel free to use your calculator when you see an application, you know, especially when you're working with these bigger numbers like this. We've got the tool to do it. All right. These are fun, aren't they? Yeah, I think so. I think so. All right. So I think we're good. I think we're good. Why don't we look at section 1-5, which is order of operations. Now this is something in the Modumath I didn't have you take a look at yet. Okay, we just really looked at those first 4 subjects, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Okay, but this now starts looking at, okay, when we see things in a string, okay, what are the things that we do first? Okay, and this is the order of operation rules that we work by. So here you'll notice rule number 1 is perform any calculations that are in parentheses first. Okay, so we look for parentheses in a string. If there are some there, we focus there first. Then after that, we're going to perform all multiplications and divisions next, working, if there's more than one multiplication or division, working from left to right. Okay, then our third order of precedence, if you would, is going to be perform your subtractions and additions, again, if you have more than one, working left to right. Okay, now why do we want to do this? Okay, why is this important to us? And I love the example that we see up here. We have a string of numbers where it's 3 times 4 plus 2 equals, and we want to find out what that number is. Now if we multiply first, okay, the 3 times 4 plus the 2, we get, in parentheses here, they separated it out, 12 plus 2 is 14. All right, that's one number. But let's say we do the addition first. Let's say we do the back part here first. We say, oh, 4 plus 2 is 6. Then we go back and we say times 3. We get 18. So you get 2 different numbers depending on the order that you add, or that you do these operations in. And so that's why it's important to understand the rules, because the order of the rules here are the way that we have to do things. So we first look, in this case, are there any parentheses in the original problem? There are not. Okay, so we go to rule number 2. Rule number 2 says, perform all multiplications and divisions next, working from left to right. So when we look at this, we only have one multiplication, and it's right here, right? So this becomes the first thing that we do, the 3 times 4. Okay, so you'll notice in this in this first one, they put those in parentheses. They kind of separated that out. So yes, so the next thing we would do is we'd say, okay, 3 times 4 is 12, right? And then we look, okay, then there's just the addition left over. That's going to be the application of rule number 3. So adding the 2. So the correct answer here is the first one, okay, is the 14. 18 is not a correct answer for that string of numbers that you see there. Okay, so understanding those rules, and I call it the order of precedence. First parentheses, then multiplication and division, working left to right, and then adding and subtracting, again, working left to right when there's more than one. Okay, how many are familiar with those concepts of order of operations? Okay, if you're not, or if you may have been at one time, here's our practice for it. This might be the portion of this particular chapter that you focus a little bit more effort on. Okay, and that's fine. And that's kind of the purpose of going through each one of these. Go ahead.
I was always taught, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Yes, say that again.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So that sets up for you that order. So tell me, it would be parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, adding and subtracting. The exponents aren't in here because we don't introduce exponents in this particular unit, but exponents are coming. Okay, so we will be hitting them a little bit later, but that's a great way to remember it. See, in the olden days, we didn't have those cool little sayings.
That's all right too. I was told as PEMDAS.
What was it?
PEMDAS.
PEMDAS?
Yeah, P-E-M.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There's another one.
It's just the acronym of it spells.
We just had to know. We weren't that creative. Okay, so let's go to example 1 on the bottom of page 51 here, and it says your turn. It says perform the following calculations using order of operations. So let's do each one of these together one by one. So I'm going to go underneath And I'm going to rewrite. So first part A here, again on page 51, example 1, we've got 5 plus 8 times 7. Okay? So using these order of operations, you'll notice I don't have any parentheses, right? So that one doesn't work. But I do have my next order of precedence is going to be the multiplication or division. I do have one of those in here. So I'm going to put parentheses around that multiplication that we see, and that's going to be the first thing that I do. So I'm going to multiply 8 times 7. I know that to be 56, right? And then I'm going to put that plus 5 out front again. Now I'm down to my 2 numbers, and now I can simply add these together, right? And that comes out to 61. Okay? So let's do B. We've got 12 divided by 6 minus 2. So no parentheses here, but I do have a division, don't I? So that's going to be my next order of precedence. So I'm going to put parentheses around the 12 minus 6. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to have a 2, and then I'm just going to do a minus 2 here. Look at that. 2 minus 2 is 0 is my answer here. Okay? This is kind of fun business, isn't it? C. Here they do have a parentheses, 26 minus 14 times 2. Okay? So here, I have to do what's in parentheses first. It's a subtraction. So 26 minus 14, looks like it's going to be the number 12, right? And then I add, or I shouldn't say add, in addition, then I do the times 2. So 12 times 2 is 24. Okay? And then part D. Here I have 12 times, bless you, 6 plus 2 in parentheses divided by 6 minus 7. All right, a lot going on here. But first we see parentheses, don't we? So we're going to focus there first and do the parentheses. So I'm going to go directly below the parentheses, and I'm going to put 6 plus 2 is 8. And then I'm going to rewrite everything that was there. So in front of it I'm going to put times 12, and in back of it divided by 6, and then the minus 7. Now, you'll notice I have the next level is going to be a multiplication and a division. If I have more than one of those, I work from the left side to the right side. So I'm going to start here first with 12 times 8, right? That'll be my next thing. So 12 times 8 is 96. And then I'm gonna just copy down the leftover part here. 6 divided by 6 minus 7. Now I'm going to do the 96 divided by 6. Do we see that? Okay. So 96 divided by 6. Do I know what that is?
Yes.
What? It's what?
16.
16. Okay. Then I'm going to do 16, and I'm going to minus 7. See how you do this in stages, one at a time? 16 minus 7 is?
9.
9 is our final answer.
Do adding and subtracting and multiplying and division as separate units matter? Which ones you do first, or is that going to fall?
When you say separate unit, what do you?
Like, so multiplying and division, do those matter? Which order I do them actually, or am I looking at the same answer, or do I still follow point out? Because you just said follow from left to right.
Right.
So what if the division would have been first?
Oh, if the division would have been.
We would have done division first.
Oh, let's do it. Yeah, let's break our rules, because in here it says rule number 2, perform all multiplications and divisions next, working left to right. Okay, but let's say we didn't. All right, so we worked left to right in this example. So just observe right now what happens. Okay, so if I don't do that, so let's say I did my parentheses first and I end up with my second line here. So let's start at that second line and see if it does change anything. So we had 12 times 8 divided by 6 minus 7, right? So let's say I have these two here. I followed my rule left to right that it would told me, but let's say the question was, what if I do the 8 divided by 6? So if I did this first, what do I get when I get 8 divided by 6?
1.3.
1.333 repeating, right? Okay. Then I'm going to put the 12 times out front and then the minus 6 here. Well, now if I take 12 times 1.333 repeating, what do I get?
16.
16? So it rounds up to 16, and then minus 7, and you still end up with 9.
You had to round up.
But you had to do rounding, yeah, in this case. Okay, so you do end up with the same thing, but it's always good practice to, you know, go from left to right. Yeah, good question, great question. Okay. All right. Another concept.
All the time, right?
I think so.
Okay. That's what-
It's, you know what? Always check it.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, it's one of those things I always get figured out once in a while. I see these big math problems like that, long math problem like that on Facebook. And you look at
Oh,
the
yeah.
comments, you look in the comments and everybody has totally different answers.
I've seen
Then I
those
sit-
too.
then I
Yeah.
sit there and figure out how each person got each answer.
Right. And usually it's the order of operations weren't quite right. Yeah.
And then they usually yell at the computer when it's saying this is the right answer.
So the next section here, example number 2 on page 52, they're giving us an example of a fraction where we see an operation on the top and an operation on the bottom. When we see a fraction set up like this, we do the work on the top and then we do the work on the bottom and divide. So notice they put the parentheses around top and bottom here. So 24 plus 12 is 36, and then 6 minus 2 is 4. Then we do the division. You do not separate them out like here and do 24 over 6 plus 12 over 2. That is incorrect, okay? So when we see fractions where we have an operator on the top and an operator on the bottom, we have to perform those separately before we do the division, okay? So just as kind of a side note there. So here's a little bit more practice again on page 52. We have an A, B, C, and a D. Let's go ahead and make sure we get the same answers. Now what's nice about this more practice, if you wanted to go back in this book and review these examples, they give you the work to do here, and then they show you down below step by step how to do them. It's a really nice book that way. It gives you a lot of insights, a lot of examples, and then the step-by-step process to get through that. So looking on page 52 at A. All right, I'm going to kind of put this to the side and we'll work on here. So part A here is 240 divided by parentheses 18 plus 6 times 2 minus 2. All right, so we know we have to go to the parentheses first for this one, right? So let's focus here, the parentheses. We've got 18 plus 6 times 2. Oh, we've got an extra operator in here, don't we? So inside of the parentheses, what are we going to do first? The 6 times 2, right? Okay, so we're actually going to go 12 plus 18 in parentheses is what we have to do first. So the 6 times 2 becomes 12. You don't do 18 plus 6 first because the multiplication takes precedence, right? So now 18 plus 12 is what? 30, right. Okay, so that's our value in there. Now I'm going to go out front. I'm going to add the divide by, or the 240 divided by, and then the minus 2 over here. Now our next step, as we look at this string again, we see a division sign, and it happens to be the most left-hand side. So we're going to do this division next, right? So 240 divided by 30 is what? 8, exactly. And if you weren't sure, yeah, calculator, right? You can do that. And then we're going to do minus 2. So our answer here is 6.
Well, if you didn't multiply, if you did it wrong with the adding first in parentheses, you get 8.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. So if you do it in the wrong order, you get a different answer. So yeah, following this order of operations is really, really important. Let's do another one. Let's do B. Okay. 6 times 5 plus 14 divided by parentheses 6 plus 8 minus 3. Okay. So we know go to parentheses first, right? So 6 plus 8 is 14. So then I'm just going to build the rest of the equation around that. Minus 3. Now, we've got 6 times 5 plus 14 divided by 14 minus 3. Okay? So, the next thing we're going to look at is multiplying and dividing, working left to right. So, we've got a multiplication here, 6 times 5. That's going to equal 30, right? And then we've got a 14 divided by 14, which is going to be 1. Okay? Now between those two there was an addition sign, so we put the plus back in there, and then we do the minus 3. Everybody see what I did there on that step? Okay. Now we can just add this left to right. 30 plus 1 is 31. Minus 3 is 28, right? Excellent. Again, they're kind of fun. A little bit more challenging than just adding and subtracting, right? Or multiplying and dividing. Kind of mixing them up together, but then having to apply these rules of order of operations. Okay. So the next section that I wanted to do, if we go to page 54 in your book, now I've got them all highlighted. I know we're not going to do them all, but let's pick out some of these that I think would be, appropriate to get started on. Let's pick out number 7, number 15, and number 23. I'm going to have you work on those 3 problems independently, and then we'll peek at the answer. So number 7, number 15, and number 23. This is exercise 1-5 in your book. So I'll leave this up here for just a second, making sure if you don't have this exact addition that you have it up here. So I'll give you a little time to work on it, and then we'll compare answers in a bit, okay?
Number 15 is 12 minus 8.
Did I? You're correct.
I was going to get confused when I got the wrong answer.
No, I don't want that to happen. Okay, let's start looking at them. For number 7 here, we've got 48 divided by 8 minus 2. So tell me, what is the first thing you did here in this string?
48 divided by 8.
The 48 divided by 8, right. This is rule number 2. Okay, we don't have any parentheses, so we go to rule number 2. So 48 divided by 8 is 6, right? And then we just add on the rest of that's left over, or the minus 2. So our answer here for number 7 is 4. Good. Number 15. We do have parentheses, right? Where do we start? Left to right all the time, right? So 23 plus 5. Let's start here. This is going to be 28, right? And then 12 minus 8. It's going to be 4. And then we put the multiplication in between. What's our answer? 28 times 4. Say it again.
112.
112. Excellent. Okay. And then the last one. Parentheses, right, first. Now, in here, in this string, we've got a multiplication and an addition. Which one do we do first? Multiplication. So we're going to do 4 times 3 is 12 plus 8, right, in that parentheses first. 12 plus 8 is 20, and then we're going to drop down the divide by 5. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. Yeah. Can't imagine more fun on a Monday at almost 9 o'clock, right? Right. Okay, so what we will do is we are going to take our first break. I think we need it. It's been about 2 hours. So we'll break, and why don't you make sure you get back here at 9 o'clock. That gives you about 11 minutes or so, and then we'll jump into the next section.